What's up, y'all? Kevin Kuhn here from Athlete Factors. This is the Athlete Factors podcast. Today, I wanted to discuss a little bit about what I've been working on and thinking about relative to aerobic training and specifically programming for distance running. When I say distance running, what I mean right now is primarily 5K. So, real quick background that I guess is relevant. I ran high school cross country and track. I ran collegiate college, somewhat redundant, cross country and track and field as well. So in high school, cross country was 5K. In college, primarily it was the 8K and a few times 5K and maybe one or two times 10K. So, but for the most part, 8K, which is just shy of 5 miles. So my high school training was extremely, I had no clue what I was doing. Let's put it that way. Whether or not my coaches had everything planned out, I had no idea, and I didn't really think that I needed to know. For the most part, what I understood was I need to run every day if I want to get better. That was it. There was no emphasis on pace. There was no emphasis on accumulating a set amount of miles per week. All that was needless variables I wasn't worried about. High school. I made a really big jump in my fitness level between my junior and senior year of high school, primarily because every day, all summer long, as soon as track finished my junior year, I was doing JO, Junior Olympic track that summer. So I was doing some legitimate training and conditioning for the steeplechase. Shout out to Miami Valley Track Club, Coach Vince Peters, Coach Ken Daly. There were a couple other people, other coaches that I am blanking on the names of right now, so my apologies. But that group showed me a little bit more. Hey, you got to make sure you're getting your long run in. You got to make sure that you're working in some speed. But for the most part, as soon as I finished that, back to just running every day. And it was usually, how do you feel? Oh, I feel like 3 miles today. Or how do you feel? I feel like 4 miles today. Maybe I went as high as 5, but usually it was like 3 to 4. And as long as I was doing that every day, I was like, what else do I need to do? This isn't enough. Okay, so bit of a learning curve getting to college and even, okay, so the summer between my senior year and freshman year, senior year of high school, freshman year of college, it's basically the same thing. I really wasn't doing a whole lot of different stuff. Still did Miami Valley Track Club, Junior Olympics, did really well in the steeplechase that summer. And after that was just running. Maybe I was running more because at that point I was like, oh, okay, now I have to race 5 miles. That's a completely different animal, I'm sure. Bumped up my mileage. I maybe came into my freshman year of college doing 35 to 40 miles a week. Yeah, for sure. No higher than that. Definitely not. Still no legitimate programming, just run every day. And that's good enough. That's what I thought. That's all I had to do. So get to college. Now I'm hearing guys on the team talking about how your long run, that's got to be Sunday because we're racing Saturdays. And your long run should be no more than 20% of your total weekly mileage. And I'm like, whoa, total weekly mileage? Like, why are we even keeping track of this? We run every day. So all that to say, Now we've got some legitimate programming for specific days, and now I'm like starting to get the picture. And for the most part, like our coach Orchard at Cedarville, he'd send out our like essentially the weekly schedule, and then the day of, usually in the morning, he would send out the workout that we would be doing that afternoon. So that was really nice knowing ahead of time. I liked that. I liked being able to mentally prepare for that. A lot of people, like, they just wouldn't even pay attention. They're like, I don't want to know till it's time to go. So, but I liked knowing ahead of time. So, I'd have questions about it, and I just assumed, oh, well, all of this is going to be answered in my exercise physiology classes, obviously, or in my coaching classes, because I had a coaching minor. I don't remember covering any important programming parameters relative to any type of training: aerobic, anaerobic, strength training, sport performance, you name it. It just wasn't really part of the curriculum in undergrad. So I just was kind of like, whatever. So, but at the time, I'd hear people talk about Jack Daniel's running formula and how that's really good. Or there's Jeff Galloway. There's all these different types of aerobic programming. And I just think it's really interesting how that differs from, let's say, programming for strength and conditioning, where, you can do West Side Barbell Method for powerlifting, or you can do undulating periodization. You can do plyometric focus. You can do, like, it's like diets. There's a million different kinds, and they all work as long as you're in a calorie deficit and you can maintain that, right? So there's a million different ways to get stronger, but at the end of the day, there has to be some sort of progressive overload. There has to be some sort of, if you're looking for like squat strength, then you have to program squats in. Like, you have to program the pattern in, like the specific adaptations to impose demands principle comes into play. But for the most part, there's some parameters you have to hit. As long as you hit those, you're gonna get stronger. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be, okay? With aerobic conditioning, I don't think there's as many teams, let's say. It seems to be a lot more limited. And I'm not exactly sure why that is. Perhaps because when it comes to getting stronger, like, you want to get stronger in the squat, you squat, but, probably doing different types of squats are going to be good. Split squats, single leg squats, lateral squats, back squat, high bar, low bar. There's a whole lot more variables. When it comes to getting faster at running, it's like, okay, well, do you run a lot or do you run fast? Do you do shorter rest? Like the variables, at least on the surface level, seem like there's fewer of them. So I don't know if that's why it kind of tends to get shifted into like, all right, well, you either follow, this quote unquote formula or this plan, or you follow this other plan. And so I finish up college. I feel like I understand running, and I understand how to get myself faster if that's what I want to do. I understand how to get other people faster. But it's one of those weird things that I know how to do it, but trying to explain it to someone isn't always the easiest thing to do. I can explain very easily how to get somebody stronger. Like, it's very simple. When it comes to getting someone faster for a 5K, I can do that. I take it back. It's not difficult to do. Explaining to someone how to do that. But explaining the rationale behind it is sometimes not always as easy. So, all this to say, I'm trying to take a little deeper dive into theory, philosophy, etc. of aerobic programming, and specifically how to get runners faster. So I'm going to have my buddy Jason Clinton on really soon, because he's working on breaking 20 minutes for a 5K. And he was a track sprinter, he was a football athlete, so it's really intriguing for me to see things from his perspective, because he was not a distance runner, you know. So he's tracking, you know, his training plan and his progress, and I love that he puts all that out there. He's got this on YouTube, he's got it on Instagram, so we're gonna have him on soon to talk about that. I've got my buddy Luke Scribner, who's been a high school coach and a collegiate coach, and he's worked with, you know, some super elite runners at basically all levels. And he's been working on something that he wants to release pretty soon about coaching philosophy for runners, for coaches, high school coaches who may not have any background in this. Like, here's how we do that. So I don't want to give too much more information about that, but I'm going to have him on pretty soon so that we can get into the weeds on this stuff and really talk about it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to have on in the future someone to discuss running mechanics, specifically biomechanics, like what is good form and bad form. And I'm really excited about that. So I've got a bunch of stuff lined up, kind of related to this specific area, but I just wanted to share with y'all a little bit of what I've been doing. So the past couple weeks, I've been running almost every day. When I finished up college, I was so sick of running. I was fed up with it. I had really no interest in like, there were guys on my team who I knew, like, they were going to be running every day or almost every day the rest of their lives. And like, I've seen old men, I'd go to races and see old men and women who, like, I can just tell, like, they run every day. Same pace, same distance. Maybe they switch it up every once in a while on the weekend, but for the most part, like, they're just going out and doing it. And I was like, that is not me. I'm not going to be doing that. So I knew there would be points in my life when I would love running and I'd be doing a lot of it, and there'd be other points in my life where it's not a priority. So early on in grad school, it was still a priority. Later on in grad school, running was not a priority. Lifting, getting stronger, increasing muscle mass, those were priorities. And those were kind of more of the priority for a long time for me, although it was way easier to not practice what I was preaching to my clients. So, you know, I'm human. I did gain weight, but maintaining weight and maintaining body comp is not always easy to do. So that's neither here nor there. Getting back on track. So basically a year ago, this time, when I started working a little bit with some of these homeschool runners for track, for the steeplechase, I was like, man, like, coaching is so fun. I'd like to do that. And then I had the opportunity to work with HSAA, the Homeschool Athletic Association here in Dallas, for their cross-country season. I got to help out with the team. And I was like, I'm not going to do this unless I'm running. Like, the coaches that I respected the most when I was in high school and college were the ones who could mix it up with us in the middle of a workout. Maybe not this, 400 repeats, maybe not on a long run, but maybe on an easy day, you know what? They're going to jump in and run with us a little bit. I always appreciated that. So I wanted, these kids to know, like, hey, I'm going to mix it up with you. So the times where I could run with them, I did. And we had a 200-mile challenge over the summer for kids. Like, we had a start date and a finish date, had to complete it before our cross-country camp. Had to get 200 miles, and I was like, I have 50 days. That's when I heard about it. I had 50 days. It's like, if I do 4 miles every day, then I'll get 200 miles, and I'm gonna do it. So I did it, and it was absolutely awful at first, because I went from running nothing at all to trying to work up to where I was doing 4 miles every day. And in the first couple weeks, I like getting 4 miles in one run was not an option. So the first couple weeks I was doing, 1 or 2 in the morning, 2 or 3 at night, just to try to hit that 4 miles. And eventually I got to the point where I could run 3-4 miles straight. And at this point, I was going to run on Richardson every Wednesday, or as often as I could. Shout out to everybody at Run on Richardson, social run every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. We have a blast. Had a great time last night. It was really, really humid, but everybody shows up. We have a good time. So all that to say, I was getting the mileage in, and had a great cross-country season, loved coaching, and I actually ended up in pretty decent shape. So since I kind of have worked my way back to that, like all through track, I've been staying in relatively decent shape, getting some running in. Since I've been working more with the sprinters, was doing less mileage, trying to tailor some of my training similar to what I was having my 200, 400 guys do. And just so they know, like, you're asking me to do this workout. Like, why should I do it? Well, I just did it. Right before practice, I did it. Now I'm 35. And if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not going to ask you to do something that I cannot do or that I wouldn't do. So it's really important for me to be able to convey that message to my athletes. And I think that that will help instill some faith in me as a competent coach, but also like, hey, I'm not going to ask my athletes to do anything crazy because I'm not going to do something crazy. And I'm willing to do anything that I ask them to do. So yeah, basically since the beginning of April, here we are at the end of April. I've been running just about every day, and I've been following, for the most part, Jack Daniel's running formula. I'm playing with some of the variables a little bit just because I'm not a huge fan of a really long run. I have plans to work up to that, but for the most part, in college, we did recovery days based off heart rate monitor, and for whatever reason, I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't know why, but trying to keep my heart rate below 150 beats per minute was almost impossible. Now, my recovery runs, I can set at an appropriate heart rate and maintain that level. In college, I don't know if I wasn't getting enough sleep, or if I wasn't maybe hydrated enough, or if the training volume that we were doing was just, I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, my pace on recovery days was like borderline walk jogging in order to keep it below 150 beats per minute, while everybody else on the team was just rolling. And that, it really bothered me, because I was like, man, half the guys on this team I can run faster than, like, for sure. And yet on recovery day, I'm behind everybody, like everybody. So because of my experience with that, I was like, I don't want to deal with like the zones, like zone 1, zone 2, like what is all this? But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna commit to doing a legitimate programmed week where I'm running 6 to 7 days a week. My total volume the first week was set like 20 to 22 miles, I think. Second week, 22 to 24. Third week, 24 to 26. Fourth week, 26 to 28. Something like that, somewhere in there. And so that come May, once track's over and I'm training for cross-country season, I'm hitting at least 30 miles a week. For me right now, that's a lot to commit to, but it's something that I can do. So yeah, I first and foremost decided I'm going to not just run this 3 to 4 times a week thing that I've been doing, where it's not necessarily very well planned out, and every time I go out to run, it's just, I'm gonna run hard. There were no easy days, there was no variation, there was no change. It was, I'm gonna run 3 miles hard today, or I'm gonna run 1 mile easy, 2 mile tempo, or I'm gonna do whatever. Like, it was all just, what do I feel like doing today? It was basically the type of training I was doing in high school, but I wasn't running every day. So I was like, I gotta move that to the side. Let's actually dig in here. Let's try to learn something. So I, basically working off of these zones developed by Jack Daniels, the PhD, not the alcohol, Jack Daniels, just so we're clear. You've got your recovery pace, which is, I forgot the specific percentages, but based off my 5K I did right during at the beginning of the crazy ice storm here in Dallas in February. I did a 5K, 19:30, somewhere in there. And I know I can run faster than that. I'm not super proud of that. But I also realize, like, a lot of people would like to run that fast. So I'm grateful that my body is able to do that. I think there's a whole lot left on the table. I'm going to put it out there because I think it's important to do. I think I can get back to running sub 17, and that's kind of my goal. I would like to get back into the 16s. And I know it's going to take a lot of work. But if I don't put it out there, then it's a whole lot easier to not follow through. So it's kind of an accountability thing for me. So I want y'all asking me, hey, break 17 yet? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it within the next 6 months, 8 months, year, 2 years, but I'm definitely working towards it. So the goal is not to see how fast I can do that. The goal is to see how can I do that and then maintain that. So I'm trying to think long term. That's why I'm building up mileage slowly, and I'm trying to set my volume of training, weekly mileage, at a level that I believe I can maintain. And I think 30 miles, 30 to 35, maybe on the high end. Like, I'm pretty sure I can do that pretty consistently. So that's what we're gonna try to find out. So based off that 19:30 5K, my recovery pace right now is between an 8 and 9 minute mile. For me, that is just like snail pace. It's been really difficult for me to do that because I've never truly wanted to run at a recovery pace. Like, I'll go faster. Recovery day, no slower than 7:30. Like, I'm just gonna get after it. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to, like, legitimately see if I follow these parameters, how much faster will it make me? I'm trying to do a little science here, y'all. So the way that I've been able to figure out how can I actually maintain this pace, because I've just trained my body to want to go faster. It's really difficult for me to go at that 8 to 9 minute pace. The way I've been able to figure it out is I keep my mouth shut the whole time, and I inhale and I exhale through my nose. And that's been like the easiest way for me to lock in at that 8 to 9 minute pace, just because if I'm only doing that, at least right now, it's been really difficult for me to go any faster than about 7:45 pace with my mouth closed. So just nose breathing, it keeps me within that 8 to 9 minute per mile pace, and it shows on my heart rate when I'm checking my Garmin. So slowing down, actually at that recovery pace, I've always been worried, like if I go too slow, that's actually going to do more damage than it provides benefit. So I think that was kind of unfounded for the most part. I'm not going that slow. At this point now, I've been able to get into a rhythm. I've had to change my cadence a little bit. I've actually had to speed up my cadence, take smaller steps. I've never, reading Jack Daniel's formula, he talks about running cadence, and from the 800 all the way to marathon, like the best in the world typically average right around 180 steps per minute. And I've just always been like 165 to 170, somewhere in there. So that's another thing I'm trying to figure out. Like, I've changed my cadence to try to make it closer to that 180 just to see how that feels. See if I notice less, nagging aches and pains, because I'm just, the analogy I think he uses is kind of skimming across the top of the water versus like stepping through the water. So less contact time with the ground means you're absorbing less force. So I think that's the idea. So I'm giving that a try as well. So I'm trying a bunch of different things all at the same time, but yeah, I'm excited because tomorrow or Saturday, I'm going to do a 5K time trial, see if I run faster than 19:30 and adjust my numbers. So if y'all are interested, even if you're not interested and you're still listening or watching, here's what's going on. My recovery pace is about 8 to 9 minutes. My marathon pace, which I plan on never running a marathon, and I've never been shy about that, about saying that. Anyway, my marathon pace is around a 7:11 or so. So basically my marathon pace, I'm calling that maintenance pace for me. Like, it's my maintenance run. I have, 2 maintenance runs a week. I've got 2 recovery runs a week. My maintenance pace is about 7:11. So basically I'm shooting for between, 7 to 7:15. I kind of give myself a little bit of a range there. My threshold pace is right around 6:45, I believe. My interval pace, I'm gonna step off screen here for a second because I've got to check this. Sorry about that. My interval pace is around 6:11. So yeah, threshold about 6:45. Interval pace is about 6:11, and then my repetition pace is about 5:45. So working off those numbers, I kind of develop my weekly plan. I run with my buddy Elliot Sunday mornings, and we tend to hit around that marathon pace. We tend to go a little bit longer. So that's my quote unquote long run / maintenance pace. So that's on Sundays. Mondays, I follow that up with, right now what I'm doing is that's just gonna be recovery, 3 miles. Again, I'm not trying to hit high mileage yet. I know that when I start increasing my mileage, it's primarily gonna come on these easy days. So I'm giving myself room to increase volume there. My Tuesday, I do some intervals, and I'm working off that 6 to 6:11 pace for those intervals. Right now I'm doing, a warm up and then basically 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. So 3 minutes at basically 6 flat pace, 3 minutes at my recovery 8 to 9 minute pace. And I do, 3 to 4 sets of that. My Wednesday, that's back to maintenance pace. Doing my run on social run. Love it. Love it. And then Thursday, back to another easy run. Friday, I've been going with, I was doing a threshold run. And so at this point, I've got to figure out whether I'm going to try to work in both a threshold and a repetition, or, kind of what I'm going to do there. So been playing with that a little bit. I've had to make a few adjustments after the first couple weeks just because I wasn't really going completely easy on my easy days. I was actually going for easy 2 to 3 and then actually working in a couple 400 meter repeats. And so then I was like, I shouldn't be working in on my easy day my fastest running as well. So even if the volume is low, because I was only doing like 3 to 4 repeats, but I was like, okay, is my easy day actually an easy day now? So I'm trying to switch that up. So then instead of having 2 easy days with repetitions, now it's just going to be 2 easy days and an additional day of repeats. So, but that will probably alternate week to week between a threshold run and some repeats. So that's essentially it. My Saturday is going to be probably some more easy mileage, or I'll alternate in. Since the kids race on Saturdays, I kind of, as much as possible, I want to work in a workout that replicates some racing a little bit. So either some threshold or interval type of speed. So nothing's set yet on the weekly schedule, but that's kind of what I have planned right now. So yeah, would love to hear some of y'all's feedback about that. What are some things programming wise that you've done that have worked really well for you? What are some things that you've done that haven't worked well? Would love to learn from your successes, but I'm also all about learning from people's mistakes. So yeah, anyway, this went way longer than I thought it would, but yeah, I'm all right about it if you are. So please let me know what you guys think about that. If you have any suggestions, or if you're like, hey man, I tried that, here's what happened, worked out really well, definitely roll with that. Or didn't work out well, here's why you should change it. This is not set in stone. I'm probably going to make some changes, but I knew I had to get something on paper before I would be doing something, daily or 6 days a week. Eventually I'll probably shift to where I'm doing something every day. But just, actually having easy days where it's easy and where it doesn't feel like it's a chore to get out and, I've got to maintain my streak. I've got to do something every day. If I need a day off, I'm going to take a day off. But I know this is right now a solid plan to get me more fit, more aerobically conditioned. And yeah, I've also been making sure that I'm not missing out on strength training. And this increase in running volume, I need to pair with a more resilient body. So I've shifted my focus for sure to more aerobic training, but I'm still lifting 3 times a week. I'm lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm actually doing my lifting on either easy days or on maintenance pace days. I'm trying to steer clear of weights on my harder days, just for now anyway, just so I can acclimate my body as much as possible to the totality of the training. But my focus on Mondays is deadlifting and upper body push, horizontal push. So basically I deadlift and I bench press, or Marcy chest press, or push up, or dumbbell press, something like that. That's my Monday. My Wednesday, back squat, and horizontal pull. So some sort of row variation, dumbbell row, Marcy pull, things like that. And then Fridays, I've been doing more like single leg, like either a split squat or, and that's not necessarily single leg, but a little more single leg type training, lateral squat, single leg squat, single leg hip hinge type stuff, single leg glute bridge, just so that I'm not just working these bilateral movements. And then I work some overhead pressing, some single arm overhead pressing. Kettlebell bottoms up presses are kind of my favorite right now. And some pull up variations or modified pulls. So I'm still trying to work in, some consistent lifting, and just slowly progress my numbers up on that, or my volume up on that. Just so my bones are staying resilient, my joints are staying healthy, and able to take on this increased running load and running volume. So if y'all have any suggestions there, very interested to hear that as well. So yeah, in addition to that, eating a lot, making sure I'm getting my protein, all the stuff that I'm doing now. I wish I knew the same stuff when I was in high school and college. It's one of those things, man. It's so easy to be like, wish I, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like, I feel like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, man, if coach had just put me in, we would have won state. That sort of thing. Like, if I knew then what I know now, I feel like, man, I would have been so much faster, so much better. But we can't go back in time, so I'm going to apply what I do know now and see what happens. So thanks for taking the journey with me. And yeah, stay tuned. We got some really good episodes coming up. And yeah, like, follow, share, all of that. And stay tuned for next week's episode. Adios.